Welcome to the Path Monk Presents podcast. My name is Sean Donnelly Lewis, and I'm super excited about today's episode. We have Darren Bindert. He is the head of marketing at Syscomm Ltd. Darren, welcome to the show.
Fantastic. Thanks for inviting me, Sean.
Okay, Syscomm. What do you guys do? Give us just a view from 30,000 feet. What don't you do? Whichever one you want.
I'll do a little bit of both, to be honest. I think we are a managed services IT company based here in the UK, and we supply sort of IT and IC support to businesses all across the United Kingdom. Really, fundamentally, what we believe in is the use of IT and technology to help organizations both improve the discussions and the communication with their customers and clients, but also to improve their operational efficiencies. In particular, because we are network infrastructure specialists, we design and build connectivity and cloud environments that are designed specifically for businesses these days who need to sort of change and adapt rapidly to today's sort of digital environment. I've been in many a seminar where suppliers are trying to sell and offer sort of very sexy sort of front end and very snazzy tools, but unless businesses have the right network infrastructure in the first place, really doesn't matter how good the front end tools are, because you need that core infrastructure to work for your business. And I liken it, if some of these tools, some of these applications are Ferraris and Lamborghinis, and they can do all these wonderful, whizzy things. But if you're trying to drive that over a dirt road full of potholes and other sort of obstructions, which is your network, it doesn't really matter how glamorous the front end is, because the back end isn't giving you the service that you're going to need to drive those applications for your business. So at its core, if a business wants to, I think, survive in today's networked and connected environment, it needs a robust, reliable, and a secure network infrastructure. And effectively, that's what Syscomm does.
Great. And so this is for every business, right? This isn't just for the big corporations. You're serving the mom and pop shops around the corner as well, like you said, trying to get digital, right?
It is. I mean, our business primarily focuses on what I call the sort of the larger end of the SME market. So we tend to focus at businesses that have multiple sites, because their infrastructure is more demanding, be it a manufacturer that has not only the manufacturing site, but also warehouse and head office, maybe, that they need to connect out, where you've got multiple retail sites, or if you're a law firm, multiple offices spread around the country. That sort of thing. That tends to be our bread and butter. But one of the fundamental philosophies that Syscomm was founded on 35 years ago, it's been business for a long time, but one of the principal reasons was that we could supply, in the belief that having that kind of enterprise grade infrastructure shouldn't be confined to just the enterprises, that the small and mid-sized business should be able to have that same kind of robust network infrastructure that the big boys have, without having to pay an arm and a leg for it. And that's really at the heart of everything that we do.
Yeah. And so how do you guys get your name out there? How have you been able to build the business and acquire new clients?
I think there's sort of three ways primarily that we do it. First and foremost, it'd be fair to say that referral business is a big part of what we do. Our customers, our suppliers, our technology partners refer us to people that they know. We have the conversations, talking about what are their business goals for this, and we go on from there. So we get a fair bit of business just through referring, and that's, I think, a testament to the jobs that we do and the trust that our customers have. You don't refer somebody if you don't believe that they're going to be able to deliver. I've been with the business now 3 years. Over the last year in particular, I've been focusing on SEO activity, driving traffic to the website. It's a long game, but I think it's the more productive game moving forward. And so we get increasingly now a large number of inquiries on a regular basis. through the work I've been doing with that. And then obviously we do outbound through telesales and telemarketing, through email campaigns, through social media campaigns, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Those tend to be a little less productive, a little bit more hit and miss, I'd say, than the other two.
Okay. And what you talked about the website for a second, drawing people into the website. So what role does your website play in that whole process?
It's increasingly important. I'd say the website isn't where it needs to be at this stage, but I've been slowly sort of morphing it into where it needs to get to be able to provide the right content and the right information, and the right delivery mechanisms for people who are interested in what we do. We need to get a lot smarter at that, and we can talk about that later, I'm sure. But the website is the focal point for all of our inbound activity.
Right. So obviously, like we talked about before the podcast, with marketing, you could get into all the things where you need to improve, and maybe we'll come to that. But right now, in your eyes, what is, or even from experience, what would be the strength of the website?
I think there's a lot of information on the website, and I think there's a lot of really good content. I think increasingly we're pitching the tone at the right level. So, if you will, demonstrating the right level of technical expertise with the right level of business talk, and being able to talk to our clients without overwhelming them with technology. I like the design, generally speaking, of the website, and it sounds silly, but you're attracted to something, and there's a lot of websites out there that are really all the same. They look the same. There's the different bars across the thing. There's some image and some text, and then another slightly off-colored bar with some more information, some text, and so on. And I think we've chosen a design that sort of stands out a little bit more, so it grabs a little bit of the eye candy, as it were. So I think we've got that right. On the where it needs to improve, and there's lots of that. First and foremost, I think it's too big. I think there's too much on there. I think we need to streamline it down. So I'm in the process of doing that. There's not enough customer testimonials on that. There's a history within Syscomm that I've sort of a culture within Syscomm where we didn't talk about what we did for our customers on the website. We didn't broadcast what we did, and therefore there's no sort of case studies, there's no illustrations of what we do. There was always, I think, and it's an old-fashioned fear, if you put your customers on there, they become targets for your competition. The competition knows who you're doing business with, so then they automatically go out and I think that's a bit of an old-fashioned way of looking at the website. I know I've worked for businesses in the past, and that was always one thing that they were afraid of, especially small businesses. And so I think we're slowly moving, and I'm sort of convincing the owners and the founders that we don't need to be into that position. So I think more customer stories would be one of the changes that I'd like to make. These are all more front-end things.
Okay.
On the back end, we don't do any automation. Just getting into that level of thinking now, and for the last 6 months, I've been investigating that more and more, and it is absolutely something I want to introduce this year. We do obviously website tracking in its most fundamental way using Google Analytics,
right?
And putting UMT codes on things when so I can track to see which campaigns are delivering traffic to the site and that sort of thing, but do very little understanding of who's visiting what pages for how long and being able to track as an individual. That being said, I have tried other tools in the past, I won't name them, that provide sort of IP tracking. And it's been less than successful, I'd say. And for a business like ours that tackles, let's say, a university, might be a client, and knowing that in Warwick University down the road from us, or Coventry or Birmingham University, somebody from there has been on our site is of no value whatsoever as far as a data point doesn't make a difference because there's 30,000 people who could be using that IP address.
Right.
And so simple IP tracking doesn't work, but I know there's much more sophisticated and interesting tools out there that I'd really like to start embracing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think most people, right, you're consistently evolving and changing due to what customers, what people are looking at. So I think the website is a continual work in progress. So, but coming back to the product, just for everyone listening in, what would be the main competitive advantage to what you guys offer? If you just want to hit that one more time.
That I think the competitive advantage that we have is the integrated nature of the network that we provide. And so there are, I don't want to get into too much jargon here, but there are sort of just MPLS providers. There are SD-WAN, which is the flavor of the month, and increasingly, what do they call it, SaaS or SaaS, edge type providers. Those are all sort of shades of building a network, and people start promoting one or the other. And we don't take it from that perspective. We look at our clients first. What are you trying to achieve with your network? And how do we make sure that's as integrated as possible, so that it becomes a simple platform on which to build the rest of your business, be it, let's say, a phone system, be it your security and your firewalls or other security products. How can you roll out new outlets easily and simply and integrate them into that network, your future growth. So our USP is actually really understanding network and network infrastructure and providing a solution that is right for the client, not necessarily flavor of the month and how it works. And we're doing some really interesting things with multi-academy trusts at the moment, schools, about how to tile their various individual schools together into a cohesive network. And I've gotten some really rave reviews on the back end of that, because we make it simple and cost effective for the provision of networks.
Very cool. Yeah. So we have the overview of what you guys do, and you obviously explained your company really well. It seems really cool what you guys are doing there. But now just kind of a more bare bones approach. What do you guys, how does sales and marketing structure? What would that structure look like right now?
We're not a big company, so it's, I think there's an advantage to that and how the sales and marketing works. So we are independent. Sales goes off and does its own thing and tries to get clients to come on board, and hands me for a brochure, flyer, links, whatever it might take. And obviously, I then go off on my own thing and try to get people to pass on to sales. But because we are a small business, we actually work quite well together. And it's a simple matter for me to go, I'm planning this campaign. This is what I'm doing. Here's how I'm trying to do the messages that I'm doing. Once it runs to a certain point, I'm going to hand over X to you. How does that sound? We work together to identify both what the right handover should be, but who the right target and the right messaging needs to be. Likewise, when sales then is running with the prospect, they can easily turn to me and say, look, I've got a client who needs, or a prospect, sorry, that needs this kind of thing. Do we have it? Can you make it? Can you get it done? And we can work fairly unstructured in a structured way, if that makes any sense.
It sounds good. It sounds like there's a lot of potential for things to fall through the cracks.
I would like things to be much more automated than they are. I really would. I'd like things to be able to know that if I run out of campaign, so, for instance, I've got an email campaign that's scheduled to go out tomorrow. And I'd like to know that who's ever opened that, who's ever then touched to a link, I could then track that person along whatever marketing journey they're going to take, to be able to smoothly transition that opportunity to the sales department. Right now, it's all very manual. I will go through, see who's linked to what, see then what I should mail to them or what I could mail to them, see what kind of interest they have on the back of that, and then I'll manually make a list of that and pass it on the details onto sales and say, look, this is who from this company, they've been looking at this, I sent them this, they seem to be interested in cloud transitioning or firewall security or next generation networking or whatever it happens to be. Maybe now's the time for a phone call or a personal email or that sort of thing. A lot of this stuff could be automated, and I'd really, really like to implement that over the course of the coming year.
Yeah. But on the other hand, you have that trust, like you actually, okay, I've talked to this person. I've actually told them what my expectations are. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I feel like there are definitely pros to a smaller, or obviously smaller company. I've worked for a smaller company before, and it's just very easy to walk over to somebody and say, hey, do you have 10 minutes? And we just talk about this, and then it's handled, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I mean, the other benefit is, if a prospect reaches out, or somehow I get a feeling for something that I'm like, I can go directly to one of the technical guys.
yeah.
I can say, I don't have an answer for this, and I'm not sure, but I think it could look like this. What's your take on it?
Yeah.
And again, I can get rather than a sales and marketing response to something, I can actually get it right to one of our technical experts and say, perfect, thank you very much. That's all I needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's loose lines of connectivity, as it were, and communication within a small organization is fantastic.
Very cool. Yeah. Couldn't agree more. So just switching gears here a little bit, just want to talk about you as a leader. What kind of content do you consume to continue to grow as a professional, as a person? How do you educate yourself?
I do a fair bit of business book reading and a lot of listening to a lot of blogs, and just trying to sort of see what's out there. As you can tell by sort of the gray hair, I've been around for a while, and you're never too sort of old to learn new things, especially given how technology can facilitate these things. I'm a very open person, and so I don't claim to have all the answers. Never would, and I love surrounding myself with people who can give me those answers and are comfortable sharing. I've never been one to take all the credit for anything, because life doesn't work that way.
Right.
It's always a team effort, and if you surround yourself with good people, and you give credit where credit's due, you can get a lot more accomplished.
Yeah.
I think one of the it's funny. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they asked, how do you keep on top of things? What are you doing? And I'm a big list making person,
Okay.
and I've got sort of a long to-do list, and that I find that really helps me focus on what not only what I need to do, but what's important that needs to be done at any given time. I can take a look at the 50 things that are on that list and go, okay, today I'm going to tackle X, because some of them are important, but they can wait 2 weeks. Others, that's just it might be number 49 on my list, but it's been added because of that. It's now important. It's more important than say the top 4 or 5 were. So I love lists, because lists just help focus the mind on what needs to be done on any given day, week, month.
Right. And I'm sure you remember it, right? I think I've even read that somewhere, that when you write things down, it's ingrained in your memory more so than when you type it in on a keyboard or anything like that.
Absolutely. I'm still a bit old school on that. And I do love a pen and pad of paper. I've only recently graduated to when I write a white paper or a blog of some sort, of not handwriting it out and then typing it in after. I now have sort of elevated myself to the point where I can now type it in and do all my editing sort of in the digital world, as opposed to the old-fashioned papyrus and pen.
Right. Okay, so we're slowly coming to the end of the interview, but we have one more thing. We just have our rapid fire section of the show. So I just start, rapidly firing questions at you. You ready?
Fire away.
You just put on some hand sanitizer?
Absolutely. Ready to go.
Things might get sticky here. Okay. What was the last book that you read?
Networking for Dummies.
if you, what is the one single thing that your your company is focused on at the moment?
The education sector.
If there were no boundaries in technology, what would be the one thing that you would want to have fixed for your company today?
Again, automation. Automation.
What's the last thing that kept you awake at night about your company? It could be a good thing. It could be, I've had people that say, oh, I'm just so excited. We're doing so much, blah, blah, blah. Or you could give us the honest answer and say, oh, well, this was.
The last thing that kept me awake at night, I sleep like a baby. Work is, when I shut off, I shut off. Work is not going to keep me awake. I'm too old for that.
Good man. If you could restart the company today, what would be the piece of advice that you give yourself?
Be very clear about the goals that you're trying to set. Make sure they're achievable and understand exactly what it is you need to do to achieve those goals. So to really think through what your objectives are. Great.
Well, everyone, that was Darren Bindert of Sysco.co.uk. Syscomm. Thanks a lot for being on the show.
No worries. Thank you very much for having me.
And I just want to give you the last word. So if anyone forgets anything about the interview today, or if somebody just fast forwards and scrolls to this point, what would be the one thing that you'd want them to remember?
To remember about Syscomm, aside from what it is we do, network specialists, actually I think there's two things, if I may, Sean. We actually passionately care about our customers, delivering the right solution for them. And we are passionate about what we do as a company. We love networks and network infrastructure. It's what we do. We live for that.
Perfect. Darren, thanks for being on the show.
No wonder. Thank you very much for having me.